Between August 7th and September 10th of 1888, the Whitechapel area in London's East End experienced a reign of terror inflicted by Jack the Ripper. During this time, he brutally murdered at least 5 prostitutes, displaying a distinct and alarming method of mutilation, suggesting a profound understanding of human anatomy. Sounds interesting already? Let me tell you the whole story. The perpetrator behind the killings of 5 prostitutes, all clustered within close proximity to each other in London's East End during the fall of 1888, was never caught. These tragic events unfolded across areas such as Whitechapel, Spitalfields, Aldgate, and the City of London. Despite numerous investigations claiming conclusive evidence of the horrible killer's identity, his name and motive remain unknown. The infamous nickname Jack the Ripper stems from a letter allegedly authored by the self-proclaimed Whitechapel butcher, which surfaced during the period of the assaults. Jack the Ripper has inspired films, novels, operas, and video games. He's even tousled with Batman on the illustrated page. After all, innumerable theories abound as to the identity of London's most infamous killer, and since we've long been left wondering who he was, or what he even looked like, we've let our minds imagine anyone, real or fake, wandering the foggy streets of Whitechapel. Between 1888 and 1892, a dozen killings were speculatively attributed to Jack the Ripper, but only 5 of them, all committed in 1888, were traced by police to a single killer. The canonical 5 victims were Marion Nichols, whose body was discovered on August 31st, Annie Chapman, found September 8th, Elizabeth Stride, found September 30th, Catherine Kate Eddowes, found September 30th, and Mary Jane Kelly, found November 9th. According to popular belief at the time, all the victims were prostitutes, and all but one of them, Kelly, were slain while soliciting on the street. This belief became widely accepted and featured prominently in books detailing the crimes, which often speculated on Jack the Ripper's true identity and recounted gruesome details of his murders. However, many of these publications relied on fraudulent claims and documents. Different radically from this genre, the British social historian Hallie Rubenhold presented a different perspective that the belief in Jack the Ripper targeting prostitutes was a product of the Victorian era's misogynistic and class-based prejudices. In each case, the victim's throat was severed, and the body was mangled in a way that suggested the murderer was familiar with human anatomy. On one occasion, half of a human kidney, possibly removed from a murder victim, was shipped to police. Strenuous and sometimes bizarre efforts were made to identify and apprehend the murderer, but to no avail. The inability to catch the murderer sparked widespread public outrage, prompting the resignation of both the Home Secretary and the London Police Commissioner. Further complicating the enigma surrounding the case are numerous letters dispatched by the murderer to the London Metropolitan Police Service, commonly referred to as Scotland Yard. These letters mocked law enforcement with the heinous acts committed and hinted at future movements. Over the course of several decades, numerous theories have emerged regarding the identity of Jack the Ripper. These range from attributions implicating notable figures such as the accusations against the great Victorian painter Walter Sickert, a Polish migrant, and even Queen Victoria's grandson. Since 1888, more than 100 candidates have been identified, fueling popular folklore and ghoulish entertainment around the mystery. And here are the top 7 most possible suspects. Karl Feigenbaum. Karl Feigenbaum, a German sailor, has been proposed as a potential identity for Jack the Ripper by retired English detective Trevor Marriott. Marriott suggests that Feigenbaum, executed for a murder in New York in 1894, may have been responsible for the infamous Whitechapel killings. He notes the proximity of merchant docks to the crime scenes, where sailors were known to visit local brothels. Similarities between the Ripper's crimes and the murder of Juliana Hoffman, supposedly by Feigenbaum, support this theory. Archival research reveals Feigenbaum's connection to the area during the murders, with his defense lawyer reportedly admitting to his client's serial killer tendencies and presence in Whitechapel during the spree. Prince Albert Victor. One of the most sensational theories regarding Jack the Ripper's identity revolves around Prince Albert Victor, known as Eddie, the son of King Edward VII and grandson of Queen Victoria. This theory, put forward by British physician Thomas Stoll in 1970, suggests that Eddie, plagued by syphilis-induced insanity, may have been the culprit behind the Ripper murders. Despite the widespread attention this claim received, historical evidence suggests that the prince was not present in Whitechapel during the time of the killings. H. Holmes. Could America's infamous serial killer, H. Holmes, also be Jack the Ripper? With estimates suggesting he may have taken the lives of up to 200 individuals during the late 19th century, Holmes is best known for constructing a hotel in Chicago designed to facilitate murder, featuring gruesome amenities like a gas chamber, dissection room, and trap doors. While Holmes was apprehended, convicted, and sentenced to death, some ripperologists speculate that he escaped execution in 1896 and continued his killings, possibly even extending his spree to London. Jeff Mudgett, Holmes' own great-great-grandson, supports this theory, citing diary entries purportedly detailing Holmes' involvement in the Whitechapel murders. Montague John Druitt. On November 9, 1888, 7 weeks following the fifth and final murder attributed to Jack the Ripper, a lawyer educated at Oxford University was discovered floating in the River Thames, weighted down with stones in his pockets. Investigators determined the cause of death as suicide, with the body having been submerged for several weeks. The lawyer, Druitt, had experienced a series of personal crises during the 1880s, including dismissal from a teaching position at a boarding school, the death of his father, and his mother's institutionalization due to mental illness. While no concrete evidence directly links him to the Ripper killings, the cessation of the murders following his demise led London detective Melville Leslie Macnaghten to list Druitt among the top 3 suspects in his 1894 report on the case. Walter Sickert. Born in Germany in 1860 and raised in England, Sickert emerged as a highly esteemed Impressionist painter, contributing significantly to the transformation of the British art scene. In the early 1900s, he garnered attention with his provocative portrayals of nude prostitutes alongside clothed clients, including a painting featuring a man with his hands around a woman's neck. He became fascinated with the Jack the Ripper case, particularly while renting a room that his landlady believed the killer had once inhabited. The experience inspired him to paint the haunting Jack the Ripper's bedroom around 1907. American crime novelist Patricia Cornwell gained prominence with her 2002 book Portrait of a Killer, Jack the Ripper, Case Closed. Cornwell and her team purportedly utilized modern investigative and forensic methods to incriminate Sickert, scrutinizing his artwork and comparing his DNA to samples from numerous letters sent to the police, signed Jack the Ripper. However, many experts on Jack the Ripper have rejected Cornwell's assertions, noting that most of the letters are recognized as hoaxes and that Sickert likely resided in France at the time of the killings. Robert Mann. In 2009, British historian May Trow claimed to have solved the Jack the Ripper mystery using modern forensics and psychological profiling, pointing to Robert Mann, an attendant at the Whitechapel mortuary, as the culprit. Mann's intimate involvement with the victims' bodies and his potential anatomical knowledge supported this theory. Raised in poverty and working with corpses daily, Mann's background aligned with the profile of the Ripper as proposed by modern criminologists. Additionally, his peculiar behavior during the examination of Polly Nichols, the first Ripper victim, was seen as further evidence by Trow. Jill the Ripper. On the other hand, speculation regarding Jill the Ripper suggests that the killer may have been female. Notable figures like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle entertained this idea. Mary Piercy, executed in 1890 for murdering her lover's wife and child, was the only female suspect considered by investigators. In 2006, Australian scientist Ian Finlay conducted a study supporting this theory. Analyzing DNA from purported Jack the Ripper letters, Finlay's findings hinted at the possibility that the sender could have been a woman, although inconclusive. Theories remain theories. There is still not enough evidence to conclude anything. So, what do you think? Who is Jack the Ripper in your opinion? Let the comments fly. Now see ya.